Yo, what's good? Welcome to Observing the Process. Before we start, I'm hoping you can help me out by supporting the show. You can rate and review it on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen. You can share it with your friends, you can blog about it, or discuss it on your own podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe to my channel and like this video, or you can support it directly. You can do this by going to my website. I'll leave a link in the description. Thank you for supporting the show. Listeners like you make it possible. Today on the show, I had Forrest Morrow. Forrest is a big wave surfer who I met down in Mexico at the biggest wave I've ever seen in my life. There are some photos on the blog post of this episode. Hit the link in the description to check it out. Forrest also works in construction and is in the process of building his own house. We talked about some innovation in how he is making a more sustainable home and where surfing has taken him in his life. On this episode, I also had my good friend Connor sit in and join in for some of the conversation. Please give it up for Forrest Morrow and Connor Conway.
In the land of China, people hardly got nothing at all.
No possessions?
And in China, they never go to church.
No religion too?
Or do magic.
Oh, it's easy if you try, dude.
3, 2, 1. Okay, we're live. Forrest, how are you doing? Thank you so much for inviting myself and Connor. That's what we got over to the left of me for this podcast. Thank you so much for inviting me over to this space. Can you tell me where we are right now? We just drove maybe an hour from San Diego, northern San Diego, and right now we're in Alpine. Is that right?
Yeah, so stoked to have you guys here. This is awesome.
Yeah.
We're here located in Alpine in the hills of eastern San Diego. We're at about 2,800 elevation, and we got some beautiful trees and different types of bushes around, and just looking at some epic sunset when we came out here, which was great. And
Yeah, man, it was such a beautiful drive. I really haven't been in this type of atmosphere in a long time. It reminded me a lot of Joshua Tree, actually.
yeah, it brings me back. We've been living up in Northern California for the past 10 years about, so it's really nice to at least have some trees and some local killer opportunities for beauty and just natural beauty.
Yeah.
us.
What brought you out here? What did inspired you to live in this spot particularly?
A lot of things with money come to play in California just because of everything's so expensive and
Sure.
eccentric out here on the coast and anywhere really.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some family. Desiree's family, my wife's family is down here, and I have some family as well. So it was somewhat familiar to us, and price point brought us to this pretty epic, beautiful spot. So
Yeah.
we got lucky to land here.
Also, I heard that you're into carpentry as a profession. That's what you do. Working with wood, working with your hands, working in the dirt. You said specifically. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a laborer at heart, and that's been a long part of my life. Just from growing up and in the dirt in Hawaii, from messing around with wood and screwing it together as playgrounds and tree forts to now building our house.
Sick.
And it's been a blessing to learn and do stuff with wood. And
Yeah. So you said you're building a house right now, or?
yeah, we're in process. We're trying to permit a home here in San Diego. It's a lot harder than it is in some other counties and definitely in other states. We're running into just the standard money issues. There's a lot of permit fees and some crazy taxes that come in when you're in this location. But we're getting through it, and we're just trying to produce a somewhat not normal house as far as conventional goes. We're trying to use a hemp lime, or what some people call hempcrete, as the main building material, and that's gets seen interestingly and scrutinized throughout the building departments. So
Oh, wow. Tell me more about hempcrete, because I know I was super interested a long time ago in just the history of hemp. Actually, it was, to my understanding, the history of hemp, it was on its way to becoming a super conventional thing to be used for construction or even paper, and then it was kind of outlawed just by this one guy who wanted to own the industry of paper. So maybe you can tell me more about hemp and the way you would use it for hempcrete or whatever that is.
yeah, I see hemp super similar to what you're seeing. It was actually an incredible product and has been throughout the entirety of its state, which is millions of years. But Henry Ford's first car was actually ran off hemp fuel, biofuel, and
No
the
way.
first the panels that the car's production came off were fiber hemp panels, which were incredibly strong and show people hitting them with axes and all sorts of other things and barely denting,
Wow.
which was unique. Like you said, some people with steel industry to paper industry to the petroleum industry tried getting together and banning it due to the fact that it was an epic opportunity to kind of infiltrate a little bit of their money. So for us, it's a kind of newer way of using it. We're going to be using it mainly as an insulator. You're still going to frame the house conventionally with wood or steel or whatever you're going to use there. But instead of using like a fiberglass insulation and then using like a gypsum drywall board and maybe some type of cement or petrol byproduct as far as the internals and externals of the house, you're going to just use this hempcrete, which is like the internals of a industrial hemp plant grown. You're going to break it down, and the inside of that woody stalk is going to produce shiv, or like pretty much like a hemp wood chip. You're going to mix that with a lime-based binder and water and like something like a mortar mixer, and out will come a somewhat pliable material that you're going to form into the wall. That is incredible because it has fireproof, mold resistant, pest resistant, and a couple other epic attributes to it. So yeah, we see it as a super epic opportunity to live in a healthier house for you and your family. What's crazy is you're seeing fiberglass and formaldehyde and all standard insulations.
Oh yeah.
And when you test the air quality inside of a home, it actually has 2 to 3 times more pollutants, pollutants than the exterior, just from like living outside. So with these new hemp homes, we're seeing that it's not having that exact reality. We're having the same amount, if less, cleaner air quality inside these houses.
Is this something that's like patented, or does someone own this technology, or is this something that kind of is, Wild West right now?
So that's what's, to me, is really cool about it. It's super Wild West. Nobody owns it. There's no technology that's simply patented, and there's no like building code. That's why it's still super scary as far as regulation and everything goes, because they can't trust it as far as saying this works and this works. But being a builder or being somebody who works in the industry, you see that direct application for everything isn't real. You can have something that works in some location that's not wet, or that is wet, but in a dry location, it's not going to work at all. And they say directly on the package, it will work, but it doesn't. It molds or this or that happens. So for me, it's still a very viable product, and I think we should go for it full-fledged because we're in a crisis of the earth, and there's a harsh reality that we're in, and the amount of carbon emissions that are produced from the construction industry are supposedly 40% of the United States off carbon emissions, and we could lower that by 25% by changing the building material to
by 25% just by changing the building material.
Correct.
Whoa,
which is incredible. So
that's heavy. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah, so I would like to do that for the rest of my projects.
Yeah. In China, there's a crazy stat. I think it's interesting in China the way they build their buildings. So if I live in Shanghai, and the everywhere north of Shanghai, they have insulation and they have like central heating, but everywhere south of Shanghai, it's just like a concrete foundation of an apartment building. They don't have central heating. It's all like, 8 like aircon wall units and stuff like that. Totally. And where I was going with this, I don't know the exact stat, but apparently there's more concrete poured in China than everywhere in the world combined.
Wow.
So
incredible.
If you're telling me that, like, and I'm curious from your perspective, if you can let me know, just like, is pouring concrete a big part of maybe the problem with this, or is there so many other elements to, building a house? And because you were talking about how construction is like 40% potentially of the problem for
The-
climate change.
Yeah, 100%. The crazy thing is concrete actually is a very high polluter to carbon emissions. So that's incredibly gnarly or
Yeah, right?
sad that's happening so much. But that's just what we've learned since those products got banned back in the day. Us as maybe newer, I'm still a younger man here. I'm able to think about that and be like, wow, that is cool, or that is interesting. A lot of the elder men are like, oh, that's stupid, that's insane, you're crazy,
Right.
and really turning away from it. And that's because they just never learned that, and it wasn't offered. So something new, some new crazy building material is going to be really scary. But what's really scary is what's happening a little bit. So we need to try and change. And
That was going to be another question of mine, is like, what do your peers, your professional peers think in the industry about this?
I've been blessed to hang out with like a lot of cooler, forward thinking, older people, and that's what's kept me happy and going forward. So they think it's cool. They're really interested in it. They think it's a very viable asset, and these are people who have built for their whole entire life, and they've grown up, eaten, sleep, and breathe building, and they think it's super viable. They think it's a very good opportunity, and yeah, it's super cool. It's something different, and
Yeah.
yeah.
In terms of you and your education, are you self-taught mostly with this stuff, or did you go to university? How did you learn and get into this industry?
Yeah, so I'm 100% self-taught. I went to high school like most of us, and after that, I just kind of hit the ground running.
Right.
I went from job to job, from a BMW mechanic, pizza making, skateboard producing, to carpentry, and I think I picked up just everything in between. I have somewhat of a engineer's mind to want to create things and create them better, and yeah, I I go to YouTube, to
Dude, I use YouTube all the
forums.
time.
Yeah,
YouTube tutorials have gotten me through so many problems.
yeah, through life. So yeah,
Mm.
it's just whatever it is, we have to take it with a grain of salt, and putting your hands on it is the best way for me to learn.
Right, right. Let's jump back to the beginning, I guess, because I know you're from Hawaii, and I'm always super interested in people who grew up in Hawaii and lived that island lifestyle, because people say it's like from an outsider's perspective, it's paradise, but then from people that lived there, I've kind of heard like you can kind of get cabin fever in a sense, and I'm just kind of want to hear your story about growing up in Hawaii and your experience.
Totally. I had a crazy reality growing up in Hawaii, I guess. I was born in September 20th of about 1992.
Oh, no
And
way. I'm 92 as well.
and yeah, and I was born right after the craziest hurricane that ever hit Hawaii. So Hurricane Iniki happened a few days before that and pretty much ruined the whole, at least the Hawaiian island of Kauai, where I was born. Flattened all the trees and took down like hundreds of homes. And so it's kind of an awkward time, I think, to be born. But the family went through it. We tried to stay there for a while. Jobs and work was kind of slow and collapsed because of the hurricane. So we moved to the Big Island, which is the real Hawaii, I guess, in a sense. And we landed on a sugarcane plantation, like an old sugarcane farm. And it was on a more like rough or local side of the island. So it was beautiful, it was incredible, it was super, super epic. I mean, growing up, just having a lot of land to run around on, be a crazy kid, be a
Right.
naked rugrat that tore up the trees and had a blast. Incredible. The beaches were super nice and everything was pretty cool. The different side of it was I was like one of the whiter local haole kids of the side of the island. So I went to a super local school, and I kind of got picked on quite a bit, which was silly.
Do you mean like there's natives on the island, or?
Not like per se like natives, but just like 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 Hawaiian families or whoever. I'm not sure where they'd been maybe displaced from one place or another in the Hawaiian Islands, but they were definitely more native people. And yeah, so it was just, I think I was treated a little bit differently being not from there.
Yeah, not a local in
Yeah.
a sense.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting to think about, like, because it's still America, you know?
100%. Yeah, totally. So that is a different reality. It's a crazy. It is a.
How were most of the other people living over there? Like, what are the kind of the traditional jobs that, you know, family, like fathers and mothers may have over in the island? What's the lifestyle like?
Yeah, a lot of like landscapers and a lot of people taking care of like the land for other people. A lot of farming people where I was at. Pretty simple lifestyles.
Right.
A lot of fishermen and just like quite simple at the time when I was living in Hawaii. This day and age, you'll get into a lot of like more standard practice. It could be from real estate to construction to landscaping as well. But back then it was a lot more simple. A lot of people on the farms, a lot of people using the land to get by.
Right. At what point did you get into surfing?
It seemed to be like I was boogie boarding in Hawaii for the main part, and then at about like 11 to 12 in San Diego, I moved there, and at 11 years old, I really picked up a board and started getting after it.
So when you moved to California, actually?
Yeah, I was surfing more on a boogie board with fins in Hawaii. I had this epic boogie board with 2 fins on it that I would stand up on, but yeah, I was whatever surfing. Yeah, you know?
I saw someone on YouTube surfing. I think it was
Kalani Rob.
It was Kalani Rob. He was surfing on a boogie board at San Clemente.
Epic, ripping, probably ripping it.
Dude, yeah, he was just flying down the line.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Having so much fun.
Yeah.
And so when you moved to California, what was the change like? You know, from big island or like island life to, you know, California.
Yeah, crazy. Definitely a country boy with some country eyes. Wild and definitely a lot of new stuff. School was different. It was pretty chill. The school was super mellow and kind of looked at as like the prized kid who went to Hawaii for a while, which was great. And then, yeah, life was just, yeah, a bit different, but it was nice. Grandma had a house on the beach, so we landed there, and that was really killer.
House on the beach. So where you go like after, because you know what I found interesting? They have, like even surf teams at high schools and stuff like that, which is so foreign to me in New York. You know, we had after school baseball and like I wrestled as a kid, but to think that you had the opportunity to go surf after school as a part of school is unreal.
Yeah, that was crazy. I definitely envied a few of the friends that had it from 6th grade till 12th grade.
Yeah.
That was incredible. What a treat. I was in a private school from 6th to 8th grade, so I didn't score on that situation, but I did end up getting it for 1 year.
Oh, sick. So
high school.
Was it like competing or what's the experience like?
Yeah, so I competed a bit. Competing was was positive and negative for me in surfing. It was super hard because just as it is, it's a competition, so it's going to be biased. It's just like for the most part, a lot of competitions we see have some favoritism or some biasness in them, especially on an opinionated sport. It's hard.
Yeah, that's what I always didn't really get about competitive surfing.
It super awkward.
I don't really enjoy that. Like a lot of people follow the WSL like super closely, and it doesn't interest me that much, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't like keep to it like completely, you know, like it's super fun to here and there watch a thing or watch an epic wave because an epic ride's an epic ride.
Of course.
But as far as like being super analytical on it, there's definitely favoritism even today in the situation and that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, for example, we were watching the Andy Irons documentary the other night, and there's that one like super incredible moment where Kelly falls on a wave and they still score him higher than Andy Irons, who So it doesn't make. I don't know if you
Yeah,
remember
it was
that
pretty
moment.
clear. Yeah, it's like videoed. It's like clearly.
fell.
It's like it's like highly clear. I mean, it's like very clear in
Yeah.
a lot of people's eyes. Like it's clear cut. You could replay it to the same judges on another day, and they'd obviously say a different situation.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I that's what a lot of us I think faced who weren't in the limelight or who weren't those like special people, just because a lot of people's family were in the sponsorships or were around that and had money in that. They had funds and relations.
Also, if you had a previous family member who is in the industry, you know, kind of into it, you were kind of in it from the get-go as a kid.
Totally. Yeah, and it just helped, like them hearing your name or whatever it was. It just really like just helped. It would be crazy. And sometimes we would have video analysis of it and we would show a judge the same thing and the next day just for kicks, and it would be judged completely different. And you'd have the pictures of the scorecards from the day before, and it's like
mind blowing.
Yeah. So the surfing competitions was interesting, but I did great in quite a few of them, so that was really fun. You know, when you win a competition, you definitely get that like incredible spark of like, well, I'm good at something, and that's for surfing. That wasn't the norm for me.
Yeah, and for me, what always drew me to it is like, even if you're not surfing that well, you get the opportunity to go out there when there's no one else out there.
That
must be amazing. I've never been in a situation where you get to do that.
Yeah, so that's killer. And I definitely try to take advantage of that. I was a person who caught a lot of waves during the heat always. They might not have been the best waves ever, but I was catching a lot of waves in the heat because it was great. I was always having fun. Yeah, it was always fun.
I think that's important too, competition.
Yeah, I think having fun. And then once I stopped having fun and got like burnt out on being like, whoa, that was a really harsh call. Like I kind of needed to make that because I paid money and my own money to whatever be in a competition here and there, you know. So,
you have to pay money to be in the competition?
Totally. And sometimes $100 fee, and you're 15-year-old kid working
$100 fee,
working 10 hours, you know, $10 an hour or less to get that. So that was
so what are the potential rewards? What is like the prize?
Prize could be on $100 fee. It's crazy. Some of them, it's just the prize package, which range from like $500 worth of prize, maybe a new surfboard, some skateboard gear, and some other swag. And then it would help your overall contention towards a national championship to put you in. Yeah.
It's kind of a full-on business for these people, actually.
Pretty much. When you said it that way, it was pretty like click, and the gear clicked. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's my mind. Kind of always chases like, what's their angle? Like, what are they making out of this?
Definitely, the pro amateur competitions where you could win like a couple $1,000s were always epic. If you had the opportunity to win $2,500 or $1,000 and you entered maybe $50, that was a better opportunity because then you're betting on yourself, and that's kind of fun.
Yeah, man. That's pretty amazing. Did you ever get into skateboarding at all?
I did, yeah. I quit surfing, actually, and only skateboarded for a while, which was a crazy time. It just seemed that I got that burnout on surfing competitions to where skateboarding was funner.
When who were your influences for skateboarding? Because for me, skateboarding was like number one way before surfing. I got into skating when I was like 6 years old. I got handed some old like super crappy board, just a complete like total razor tail, like rusty screws, like barely rode, but it was enough to like I could roll around at the park, and I learned how to drop in, and it was truly my first love. Like, skateboarding I owe skateboarding a lot. And it's not my first love anymore, or it's not my true love. Like, I love surfing now more than anything, but I owe skateboarding so much. So like, I'm curious about your path into skateboarding, I guess. Then.
Yeah, that's epic, man. That sounds incredible. That sounds like a blast from the childhood past, man.
Yeah, man. I was so lucky to I grew up in New York City, and I saw people skating on the street, and I was just instantly in love with seeing people like cruise down the street just effortlessly, be able to like jump up a curb. I was mind blown. I just couldn't believe that you could pick something up without your hands, you know?
Yeah, it is incredible, and with the finesse that some of these guys have, it literally, like you said, seems effortless, and these guys are just floating around, flying up curbs and stuff.
And that came first to us, you know. It wasn't
street
like
skating, yeah.
It wasn't like surfing. You didn't think about going surfing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, skateboarding was the first available, like, you know.
Oh yeah, I get you. Yeah, for sure. It was just the streets was what is
Yeah,
accessible
exactly.
to
The
us
streets
more
were
so than
there.
the ocean for sure.
Totally, 100%. Yeah. And you guys had some incredible inspiration out there with just, some finessey,
Yeah.
radical riders. But yeah, skateboarding, how did it come in? I think my next door neighbor, he was always just a menace when I got to San Diego. He was a crazy older, kind of like brother type dude. And he was in high school and I was about 10. So he was 16. And yeah, he loved to just throw anything at me. He's like, oh, you're dumb enough to try this. Here we go. Like, here we go. This is great. He's like, try and launch off the ramp. Just do this. Go down the hill and go really fast. You're like, sure, why not? And I had a skateboard in my hand, and then it just kind of went from there, from skating down the boardwalk in Pacific Beach to getting to like the OB skate park, and having a blast out there. That park is so chill, and it's kind of more like a surf park instead of like a skate park. It's got really pretty chill transitions, and the coping's mellow, and everything about it is just a great vibe. So I learned really to skate there at that park, and kind of just surf skated my whole life. My front tail slide was about my favorite move.
Oh, hell yeah.
It felt like I was always surfing. So inspiration from Hesh skaters, a lot of Creature and Anti-Hero guys were just really radical. Love those guys. Definitely some gnarly skating going down.
Yeah, for me, I definitely always gravitated towards transition skating, like bowls and mini ramps and stuff like that. A ton of early grabs. I was all about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. That was like, I kept it like chill. I wasn't the gnarliest guy out there. There's some just incredibly crazy guys. So early grabs, chilling, like hitting the corners and just like, having a blast, flying around the park as fast as I could.
Oh, dude, before we get out of, high school and early days, you said you did pole vaulting?
Yeah, totally.
Dude, I did pole vaulting also.
No way.
Yeah, so
I don't
random.
think I've ever been in the same room where I've said that with a guy. That's except for the person I pole vaulted with.
Dude, pole vaulting was sick. I was hyped on it.
Dude, the most, I think, I've never done anything that random.
It's super random but fun.
But fucking incredible. That was sick, dude.
No.
Yeah, it was actually badass. It was really cool. I had a blast. I didn't go incredibly high, but I mean, I did 2 years of it, and I ended up going 12 feet 6 inches. And
damn, they beat me.
Sick.
Yeah, I got 10-6 or something.
Yeah, that was dope.
Dude,
you're
12,
just
6,
launching it off of a pole, and you're
it's super gnarly.
Oh yeah, it was when I got the 12-6 was the first time you're really when 10-6 you're still flexing that pole and stuff.
Oh,
but
yeah.
12-6 I was almost upside down feeling, and I was like, oh man, this is intense. But my friend who pushed me into it was insane, and he was going for the Olympics, and he was jumping 17-18 feet right next to me. So I was like,
dude, it gets high.
yeah,
It gets super high.
What's
Yeah.
the record on pole vaulting?
I would somewhere in the 20s.
20, yeah,
for
back
sure,
then it
somewhere in
was
the 20s.
Yeah, and it wasn't
Insane.
so he
All
would,
on the same pole. Everyone uses the same
dude,
length.
I think you adjust due to
Oh, the poles changed.
yeah, the poles
did.
change.
Yeah, for
Poles
sure.
change for you're a bigger, gnarly 200-pound guy and stuff.
Right,
and
it
you're
makes
gonna have
sense.
to have more strength.
I think
to
they'll let you make the pole as long as you want.
Oh
You know
my
what I
gosh.
mean?
I don't care.
It's not. I don't think
Because
there's,
20 feet.
Yeah,
I don't think there's regulations for the length of the pole, right?
yeah. I don't
It's
think,
just kind of if you want to go crazy.
yeah, I think that you're gonna have real fun coming down, and depending on where's with that pole. If it's a 30-foot pole, you just might be eating it really far,
100%.
really far.
Dude.
But
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't remember what length pole I had.
I think I had a 16-foot pole if I remember.
Huh.
But I
Really?
don't no actually.
Because now that
that
I
seems big now that I say
yeah,
that.
because when I think about it, if I'm just trying to do the math,
Yeah, it seems huge.
if I was doing 10-6, maybe I would have roughly a 10-foot or a 10-foot 6 pole. Because or maybe a little bigger, because you're
Yeah, maybe a 12
the
foot pole.
the technicality of it is you're running, and then all of a sudden it feels like when you
That's
push the pole
crazy.
in, you're it feels like you're running up, and then the pole is bending, and then all of a sudden it starts to slingshot you up, and you use all of your upper body, and then you're pushing yourself over this bar but the only thing that you're pushing yourself on is the balance of a pole that's not structured to anything else. It's a complete.
How are the wipeouts getting started?
dude, I saw some gnarly stuff.
I've seen some absolute carnage. Seen some backflips with the pole flying out. Seen some gnarly stuff from women to men. It was incredible. Yeah.
Dude,
incredible.
And sometimes you're not landing on the mat.
No. I mean, incredible. I mean, some real deal. Some gnarly shit. It was awesome. That was a sport. I'll never forget. But if I tried to hit it today, I would definitely splat.
I don't think it's like a bike.
Nope. No. I dare you, whoever did it in high school, go send it at the track today. You're 30 years old, get after it. But check in with us. Let's hear about it after.
Yeah, shoot me a DM. Let me know how it goes. Dude, I'd love to like try, because it's like such a bizarre, barbaric thing to do.
Oh yeah.
Take a pole, shove it in the ground, and try and get over something.
Yeah, you know? it really is rudimentary. It's it brings it back. It's weird.
Super random.
Yeah, super random. But one of the coolest things I did in high school as far as a sport, I had never thought of it. And
I was just doing track as a like off season for other sports, like wrestling, just to kind of stay fit.
Yep.
And I was like, running, this is lame. And then somehow pole vaulting wasn't an option. And we saw that in our like back shed or whatever, there was a pole vault. And then we were like, yo, let's make this happen.
This is epic.
And then we just Pierce and Wyatt just made it happen. We made pole vaulting happen. And Pierce and sorry, Wyatt, I don't think you were killing it like us, but Pierce was the best. Pierce was the best.
I was gonna say,
hands down, Pierce was killing it.
He's the athlete.
And then I was like, Pierce and I were like battling, and then Wyatt was like not far off, but it was between Pierce and I. Let's be real. And then, dude, such a random sport. Oh,
yeah,
man.
You guys got after it way harder than we did. We had like a full track pole vault team, coach. The guy was into it. It was pretty radical.
No, we had to like make this happen.
Yeah,
our coach
that's
didn't know.
Way cooler.
Our coach didn't know how to do pole vaulting.
That's super radical. I definitely had some tricks and tips and pointers for sure throughout the situation. So
and we like rarely went against a school that also did pole vaulting. So it was just kind of like when it happened.
We won.
Every other school, like, sorry, like no competition.
That's classic.
Oh man,
random, awesome.
You also played baseball too, right?
Yeah, baseball. That was a killer one. Just that was shoot, I don't know why. Baseball, I think you just get put into random things as a kid. So that was one of those random ones, and I liked it. It was great. I pitched and played shortstop, and shoot, I hit enough home runs to have a good time, and that was great.
Hell yeah, I was shortstop as well.
Nice.
Baseball was a super cool that it was like kind of family oriented, and
exactly, it was great that it was like a team sport. Actually, I think that was one of the real team sports that like you get to have friends, like, and you bond over that friendship, that you're like, yeah, we're on the team, and like even having like your other people who aren't on your team, but like having them in the
whole like community.
Yeah, you're all like messing around. You see each other at the beach. Yeah, literally, you see each other at the beach. You see each other here and there, and you're still like, "What's up, dude? How's it going?" Like, yeah, it's always a blast. So connected a bunch of kids together.
Yeah, baseball is actually, I think, the only team sport that I really enjoyed. I was never a fan of any other team sports, and that's why I always personally gravitated towards skateboarding or surfing or even wrestling, where it's somewhat of a camaraderie type thing.
Going through it with everybody.
You're going through it with everyone. Yeah. Oh yeah. Fucking right, Connor.
Yeah.
I forgot. I forgot that shit. Yo,
7, never forget.
Do you remember DeMeo in fucking? Oh my god.
Shout out.
Wow. Yeah. So just like the camaraderie of wrestling makes it somewhat of a team sport. But and baseball as well is like somewhat of a crime. I guess, you know what, like I'm biased. I personally just love skateboarding and surfing and that kind of stuff. I can totally appreciate why people like football or baseball or these or basketball and stuff like that. But I'm wondering your thoughts on like is that a reason why maybe you would gravitate more towards skateboarding and surfing? Obviously, like, dude, we'll get into Totos later, man. But surfing in general and that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts on?
Yeah, definitely. I agree, you know. I did some water polo and I did some other sports like team sports, and I just never really had as much fun with them. The baseball thing definitely was like the coolest situation. I had a blast, and then after that it was all solo from there. It was skateboarding and surfing and kind of just doing more solo sports that were just kind of more individual based. Surfing and skateboarding really took a hold of me, and that was pretty much what took after that. Pole vaulting, I guess, again, was an individual sport. And
you're battling against yourself.
Yeah,
truly.
You really are. You know,
you have your own PR and you're trying to beat it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not really battling against anything else, because otherwise you're just not going to, your PR is the one thing. So that's it. And, so I think, again, I think that just turned me off after baseball. I liked that, and then after that it became just more individual based sports. Right.
So as we start to get out of high school, I know you mentioned that you kind of like straight out of high school, you didn't go for me, it's like a pressured route. There was pressure to go to college. 100%. There was pressure to just do these things, and I come from like a very, I would say I'm privileged. Like my parents just like, they paid for college. It was like no question. There was no question that I would just go to college. And I know that's not how it is for everyone. So you mentioned that you went straight into like 70-hour work weeks, doing different types of jobs. I'm just curious about that transition from high school to kind of the real world.
Yeah. So I was like lucky and unlucky in a sense, but I'd take it as lucky. I'd started working a lot like in high school, which was great, because that kind of eased the burden from just like going from kind of living a dream-ish type lifestyle to fully living an adult lifestyle, which, as we all know, gets real. Just as life is real, it's not always easy, working a lot to make ends meet or do this or that. It is great, and we all live a blessed life, every single one of us, but it is crazy, I'm sure, for a lot of us.
Sure.
So for me, I just ended up going full-fledged. I hit the ground just running full speed. I ended up going to Mesa College for about 2 months. I was 17 years old. I ended high school. I was still that young. I went to high school super young, so I ended up 17, ended up in college for 1 month. I got called at college, I think, probably 5 to 8 times a day, and it was from every one of my jobs, all 3 of them, saying, "Where are you? When are you coming in? Where are you? What's going on?" And I couldn't break it to them that I was going to college, really. And so I pretty much just dropped out.
Wow. So you went to college, you were fully in.
Community college. It was college. Yeah, for sure. I enrolled fully, had the classes.
And then you also had these 3 jobs.
Yeah.
And that's the reason that, like, these people were depending on you, it sounded like, and you almost, just your energy and what I'm hearing, it's like you wanted to like complete your job with these people.
Yeah, you know, like I felt like I had a contract, even though I didn't at all. I just like was upright and like super wanted to like, take care of them. They really needed my help. I worked for a BMW, like a super local mom and pop BMW technician and shop. And like they just needed my help, you know, he needed me to be there kind of, and I felt that, and I think my route was better just off going that way. I needed the money, I needed to keep it going, and for me the more pressured or standard route was just gonna kind of put some anchors on me for a while.
Interesting. So after you dropped out, you ended up just sticking with these jobs, or?
Yeah, so I pretty much I stuck with the jobs for a while. I stuck with my main job, BMW technician, for a year after that, and then I kept just picking up whatever job in between. If it was working at a warehouse for Sector 9 or making smoothies or whatever it was, I kind of just picked up whatever was available. A lot of them were kind of seasonal jobs with San Diego summertime. So from there,
Like, at what point do you start to get more into construction, I guess?
yeah, so I end up at about 19 years old. I end up getting a lot more into I go up north and I get into some fire prevention. And I start
Oh,
working for like
sick.
the BLM, and I do a bunch of fire prevention.
What's BLM mean?
It's like the Bureau of Land Management, and that's like pretty much like all. It's either federal or state-owned land, and then we're gonna pretty much like help maintain it via parks and recreations. And what I did is pretty much ran around with a chainsaw for 12 hours a day, cleaned up the forest, and tried to help fire prevention, just as far as eliminating small trees that weren't technically supposed to have grown there, that were just dead fuel, or to like raking up, or to digging holes for signs, anything in between. So that kind of got me hooked on just getting more rugged and getting out there.
That's something I wanted to dive into, is the idea of, working with your hands, not living an office life. I think for me and a lot of people I know, there's a lot of pressure. Just because I went to college, I have this pressure to have some type of job that utilizes my degree and puts me in a position where I should be working in an office, or I should be working in some type of situation where I'm using just, my degree in a sense. And so I wanted to, I think that for me, there's so much of an appeal. There's like an inner drive to want to work with my hands more and be more outdoors and kind of be off the grid and living this type of lifestyle that you're living. So I wanted to pick your brain, or dive as deep as you can into like your experience doing that, and whether it really fulfills you and this kind of life that you live.
Yeah, I find it super admirable when people like yourself or whoever is maybe not trained for the profession, or that they're trying like construction or whatever, but they do have a degree, but they're going for it in construction. I do know a couple of people like that, and it's super cool. It's super like, I think that we're not meant to do one thing. We're not meant to sit in a place and do a specific thing. We're all humans. We're all super blessed with this brain, and we're all like super blessed with the body we have too. And that's amazing that we can create things from this podcast to the home that we live in.
Yeah.
And I think that, like you're saying, I think it'd be cool to endeavor some other things, and
100%.
in your life, for sure.
Yeah.
For me, it's great. It's incredible. It is more like a life. It is a lifestyle. It is just like my life, though, which is crazy to think. It's just transformed and rolled into this reality. It's super cool. It's super radical. And at times it's super challenging. I always push it to the limit, and I always, just am super ambitious. So when doing things at such a big off the grid scale like we are now, going for it on a 10-acre property and trying to overtake it all yourself and not hire labor because of funding and this and that, is really hard and overwhelming. But like you said, the overall gratification from it, when I really sit back and I see it for what it is, the beauty and the epicness, it's unreal. It's totally worth it. And
is this the property that you're trying to build the house on, or?
Totally, yeah.
So this is San Diego technically still.
Yeah, we're still.
Oh, I didn't even realize. Damn, San Diego's massive.
Yeah, so we're in the county. So yeah, we're technically still way in the county, which is crazy because San Diego's huge. But we're out here, so yeah, it is the spot we're trying to build on, and this is it. We're going for it, full fledged.
Probably
we
some of
got
the most beautiful too.
Yeah, it's super beautiful, super untouched, super untapped, like just epic land with sites, and the opportunity for growing like all sorts of different foods is awesome out here, from avocados to citrus to mangoes. So it's really killer.
You can grow. It feels like we're almost in a desert.
Yeah, so that's what's crazy is somehow people pull off like these incredible fruits here. I don't know how, but my neighbors have these incredible fruit trees, and when it gets too cold, definitely got to blanket them up and wrap them up in some burlap. But other than that, they produce avocados to all over and all sorts of
You
different.
reminded me of this one Shark Tank episode where this guy was like, he's a local farmer and he was pitching this idea. It's called the
honey.
the tree pea, like, you know, like TP, but it was called like tree pea or something. And basically you're putting this plastic thing around the
I've seen this exact one, and it waters it and saves the amount of water.
Just by like condensation, basically,
it's incredible.
Is it increasing the amount of water the plant can get by 30%?
Yeah, and that's incredible. I actually should look into that, because coming into a situation like in San Diego where water is scarce,
super scarce.
We're really, really looking to find opportunities like that.
And then at night, you know, there's incredible amounts of condensation 100%. That I find on my windows in the cars, and it's like, that water is there. It's just not accessible easily, I guess.
I'd agree 100%. Every day out here, there's dew in the morning. There's
right.
moisture.
So even out here is what I was going to ask. So you can take advantage of what's going on even all the way at the ocean.
Exactly. Yeah. There's all sorts of different styles, from like nets built off of like posts where they're gathering water from nets coming down and gathering in a collection bucket down low, to, like you're saying, that teepee for the trees.
Whatever it's called, but some Shark Tank. I love this episode of that particular episode.
Super random. It's pretty old too. That was like I think a pretty old.
I saw it so long ago.
Maybe
so you saw that one as well?
Yeah,
sick.
Yeah, it's so random. I think it was a Texas farmer or something.
Yeah, and random. I loved his energy, because he actually, I think, started to cry a little bit during the episode.
He is, yeah.
Super
passionate. He was really passionate about his job.
And that's why all the sharks were just like, we will give you whatever you want.
Yeah.
He didn't even, he asked for less than he ended up getting, because like he's like, I just want to do right by my people. Like he just wanted to, like, his customers, he just wanted to fulfill the order.
Project.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly. And those are the types of people that I look up to, like that type of person.
Definitely, yeah. Those are the people that are just out here really trying to make this earth a better place, and that's that's inspiring. You know, that's the real inspiration. Is we need better people out here, and that's what's up.
100%.
Yeah, man. And something else what I wanted to bring up earlier is this idea called biomimicry. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's basically, for example, you have the most common known example is Velcro. So Velcro was produced from these types of thickets, or these like plants that basically, it's a burr. You know, you're walking through like the bush, and then like these burrs get stuck to you. So the technology of Velcro was developed from from that plant.
Yeah.
So it's the idea of taking technology from biology.
Totally.
And so there's
that's really cool.
Yeah, dude.
Never heard of that term.
No,
wow. I mean, you would love it, because when you're looking at hemp and stuff like that for building houses, or the insulation specifically, I think you were saying.
Yeah.
You can learn so much from biology. Yeah. So the one example is the Velcro that came straight. Some guy saw it straight, like it was sticking to his dog, and he's like, I could turn this into a new way to stick things together. And then the military bought it, and it became like
huge,
millionaire just from that.
Damn.
Another cool example was that doctors took fish skin and lined their tray. Like, you know, doctors will use utensils for operating and stuff like that. And it's very expensive to sterilize like every plate or whatever. And I could be getting this a little wrong, but they took fish skin and used that as the top, because fish skin is incredibly sterile and like very hard to get dirty.
Wow.
So they were able to take that technology and just put it there.
Incredible.
Yeah. So
I must look into this more, because it 100%. Sounds like something definitely up my alley. I love the idea.
Yeah. So you could take that and apply it to, like, I wanted to bring up earlier, I just missed the opportunity when we were talking about hemp and your uses for it, because there's just so many different types of uses for hemp.
Yeah, totally. So that was being like so simple on just like one of the angles is like the insulation, but it goes from every variety, from clothes, textiles, to like we go back to a biofuel, which is incredible, because from food to biofuel to clothing to what we live in. So it could be the most diverse plant possibly that we utilize at this day.
Word. Yeah, man. All right. So as we start to wrap up, I think we gotta get into the Toto strip this past weekend.
Yeah, that was incredible. What a delight.
Yeah, man. So how long have you been big wave surfing for?
I think I've been big wave surfing, I'd say, for like 4 years, pretty big
4
waves.
years?
Yeah.
You know what blew my mind is you're my age. You're actually younger than me. So when I saw you out on those waves the other day, I was like, oh, that dude must be at least like 32, 35, something like that. And nope, you're literally younger than me, and you're charging these 30-foot waves.
No,
It's a short board.
totally all relative, just because this day and age there's kids that are 15, 16 just putting me to complete shame, and I'm just like, oh my dear Lord, like what the heck, in the same boat completely. So thank you so much for that. But yeah,
It is true. Relativity is a good point. But so you only got into it like 4 years ago?
Yeah, it seems like it. You know, I hit the ground running. I had an epic tow partner in the beginning. He was way more advanced than I was, way more into it, way more crazy, and threw me into my first like bigger wave, 15-foot face plus, and yeah, I think I hit the ground running again. I did a cartwheel into the barrel, got hooked, did it 3 more times. I was like, yeah, sure, of course I've driven a jet ski, no problem. It's like 15 to 20 foot surf again, and I've never driven a jet ski. So I'm like, so what do I do again? And here we go. Dropped him in on some waves, and I guess the rest was history. We just pushed it to the limit from there and started paddle surfing bigger waves and doing it all.
But you know, like just even the idea, was it like, okay, we're gonna get a jet ski, like we're gonna like, how do you decide?
Yeah, it was so almost, I guess not forced or like put on me, but it was like I'd been surfing big waves or like pushing it, just like kept pushing it around like Humboldt. There's always big waves up there in Northern California.
Oh, so this is when it started up in Northern.
Yeah, so Northern California, I was pretty much, if you're there, you're either not surfing because it's too big or you're surfing because it's big, almost. So a lot of the times I'd just surf, and I was getting better at just navigating the situations. The ocean's really gnarly, and really gnarly up there. As raw as it gets for me. It's rawer than Hawaii and just crazy. So just started surfing and getting more into it and getting crazier, and then seemed like a new kid showed up in town, and he was kind of the new craziest kid all of a sudden, and I was like, whoa, I don't think so. I don't know about that. Like, who are you? And we met each other, and it ended up being a great time. We ended up having a killer time.
So it's kind of like the competition side of you came out.
It kind of did a little bit. I was like, whoa, like who's this guy? And it was really cool because we were both like, just ended up meeting on a cliff in the middle of nowhere, and we're like, hey, are you this guy? I've heard of you through like the word of mouth of the surf community. And he was like, oh yeah, I heard about you too. And then shook hands and jumped on a jet ski, I think an hour later. And that was that.
Wow.
Which was wild.
So towing was your first introduction to big wave?
Like, yeah, I'd been paddling some like pretty good sized waves, I think. But that day we had towed those waves and gotten some barrels. And then instantly I towed like a 30-foot face is what it seemed like, and it was just gigantic. It was just like a mountain, you know. I was just like, wow, this is a huge, I'm still going down the waves. Oh my gosh, this is incredible. And then just like got absolutely taken out by the thing, and I was just like, wow, oh my goodness. And yeah, I talked to some people later, and they're like, was that you on a wave? Like, and I think it was just hooked from there.
But like no preparation, no breath work.
No, pretty ridiculous, pretty bad. I don't think I had a life vest on. It's pretty incredible.
You did or did not?
I don't think I had one.
Did not.
No.
Did not.
No. Yeah, it's pretty like, just like, I think the competition side was just like, oh, this kid's crazy. You're like, really? Like, oh no. And then that was crazy.
Dude, I don't know, man. I don't know.
And in Northern California too, like the silly thing about the no vest thing, we really just started like wearing them. Like, I guess like a lot of guys just don't wear them. They're like, whatever.
But when you say vest, you mean like
or a flotation, any type of just
So you just wearing a wetsuit.
Just any
like
type
just to break it down. To me, I know, I guess 2 or 3 different ways you could do flotation. Like one is an impact vest.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Sorry.
Gives you a little bit of flotation. then one is, something you pull and truly inflates you.
Totally.
Does anyone actually wear a true like life vest while they surf? I don't think anyone does that, right?
There's like these more like toe type vests that look a lot more similar to what
Like
you're
like a
saying.
traditional life.
Yeah, like it
vest.
looks like a lot more like that. You'd snap it on and
Yeah.
everything, and you clip it in, and it'd be like bigger and over the top. But that'd be more like a toe situation.
Okay. Because like it might be hard to paddle with, or
And
like
exactly, just kind of awkward and big, but also it might be like the most floaty. So if you're going like 40 to 60 foot faces, you're gonna maybe be wanting to float. So who cares?
Yeah, because for some reason when I was younger, it's like, as a parent, it would be kind of intuition or like instinct, like make sure your kid is wearing a life jacket. But for some reason, like even just for normal surfing, there's reasons not to wear a life jacket. Or it somehow is better to not wear it.
Yeah, it seems like, you duck and dive and you get through
Oh,
navigating
100%
the
duck
ocean,
diving. Yeah.
and just like, moving around, like you just navigate the ocean, I think, better. So you're just, you end up learning what to do in the scenario, and then therefore you're safer with having just yourself not being so buoyant. You can dive under those waves deeper. You can, use your body a little bit more with that life vest. Sometimes you're a bit inhibited. Yeah, you're a bit stuck in a situation.
People don't pull it for that reason, because if there's like another wave coming behind them, then you're already floating.
Totally.
You're just like sitting like a duck, right?
Yeah, that's gnarly. I haven't used the flotation, the inflatable one yet, so I haven't been in the situation. But even with the float, the like a float vest or a float coat or something, you could still be like, oh no, I got to duck dive and like get a little bit more run over by the whitewash because you couldn't get under as quick. But I think it's really good to have one. I had mine on this last weekend because A, B, C, and D.
You had the impact vest, though.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, those things look like it's a good way to go.
Yeah, I like it. Simple, it's economical, and it's a good insurance policy for me.
Insurance policy. Yeah, the best one. What about other waves you have surfed? Like, because all I've seen is Todos up at close and personal, but there's tons of, I don't know about tons, but there's several big waves on the West Coast.
Yeah, totally. There's some gnarly waves. That Mavericks thing is incredible.
So you've been to Mavs? And
yeah, I've surfed it quite a few times, like 10 times now over the past like 3 years, and that wave is gnarly. That wave is I'm not surfing it like I was surfing Todos the other day.
Dude.
That is not how I'm doing it. There's guys that are all day, but that is a different beast. It is really
more consequence.
Yeah, the consequence factor is really high. It's incredibly high. And just the whole wave of what it does is just so violent and gnarly. To like be on a 10-foot board and do it is just nearly mind-boggling for me. I'm like pretty good at surfing, and it's just like, so what do I do when that happens? Like, when that happens, though, are you sure? Like, and you're like, damn. Like, but I've gotten some sweet waves. I got a couple, 15-foot, like 30-foot faces out there that were sick. Not super insanely deep in the bowl, but nice, like they swing wide and got a killer ride.
Because what's interesting about big wave surfing? It's kind of like, it's just like kind of going straight sometimes, and then one big turn. It's just different than riding. It's like, not to talk down on big wave surfing, but it seems like a lot less for what you can get from like barrel riding on like a 6-foot wave. Do you know where I'm going?
100%. Yeah, and like that's why I think like a lot of the best surfers or super skilled surfers turn away from it. The consequence is really high, and sometimes the like fun factor's not. I think it's all
I think
it's all where you're at the time in your life. I'd say my old tow partner is like probably could be one of the best big wave surfers in the world, but is also like, I'm kind of over it just because of, for whatever reason.
The potential consequences are
it's
huge.
incredibly huge, So like the barrel is way more sick for him, and like I can't not say the same. The barrel is the sickest thing ever. I'm still hunting out at Todos and some of these places for the barrel, which almost
the photo we got the other day is unreal. By the way, I'll definitely post a ton of photos from our trip in the blog post for this episode, and you'll be able to see what we're talking about. It's just absolutely, insane, man.
Yeah,
Like the
thank you,
stuff you were
guys.
doing, like the way you would charge that wave, you didn't care. Like, like to me, it seemed reckless. You know what I mean?
Short board, like it was like you were riding 9.6, like it was a 5.11.
Yeah, it was wild. I was really stoked that day. Super clicked for me in the wave and the board. It was
So were you just like
definitely.
very comfortable eating shit out there? Like if you go down, it's like that particular moment, it didn't feel like a big deal. Or,
Yeah,
or were you
like-
just like very confident you're going to make these waves? You know?
No, like
Dude, that's I was going to ask,
I think
dude.
both. Yeah, no, I had to laugh just because I wish I was that good. That'd be badass. That'd be super cool. I definitely have a planned consequence. My breath works pretty good. I definitely haven't been on it this season. My boys are up north and they're probably like, "You're such a slacker." But I just haven't been on it as far as like super training goes. But I felt good. I had fallen quite a bit. I'd been out there last week, a couple days before that, only 5 days before, and yeah, I just felt confident on taking that wipeout if it came to it.
Right.
Other than that, I was really feeling comfortable. It really clicked. I was there for maybe 3 hours before you guys, and it was me for an hour and a half, and then one other guy for an hour and a half, and then you guys came. So it was kind of just this surreal. Got to keep just like getting these rides and making them, and was making a lot of really heavy drops. And at that point, I was just, kind of linked in. I was really stoked. It was all working out good.
Dude, one thing I got to ask you is like, you're ripping bowls out there on the jet ski out of an apple, just like, that is blowing my, it's like it was too easy for you. You had to add another layer of something on top of it. Just like, so is that just something that like makes you more comfortable, or like, what's the thought process behind smoking a bunch before you go out into 30-foot faces?
yeah. I think it's just a little bit of a calm down. I think, I took a little hit maybe before I paddled out in the morning and was like, here we go, baby. This is like you and you, so get ready. This is, there's no one else around. So
And you always drive yourself out.
yeah, this whole season I've been solo. So
Dude,
I've
it was
gone
the
out
most-
to Todos like 15 to 20 times and all solo.
It was insane to see like you rock up on a jet ski with your board and and then like as we're boating away, you come to say goodbye. You're like, all right, see you guys later. And you just jet off with your ski. It's just like the most like,
Cool.
like
So cool.
so badass and almost just like independent type of thing that I could imagine. Like go out to an island in the middle of the ocean with your jet skis, anchor it, paddle out, and then rock back up to shore.
Yeah, it's pretty core. It is.
Core is a good word.
It is pretty core. It is fun. It's incredible. I can't really put words to it. It's a blast. NorCal's put it out there. We're so raw up there and so
NorCal
nuts.
put you on the map for really wanting to do this stuff.
Yeah, just like fuck, it's so raw. We'd go 90 miles sometimes round trip on a jet ski and
What?
in 20 knot north winds, and I mean you're just getting just hammered, and I mean hammered. That's an hour and a half one way you're going, and
Oh my
I mean
God.
just absolutely beaten. Then you're going to surf for 4 hours, and then you're going back, and
Yeah,
and
man.
I think that just kind of and this is way colder, way gnarlier, and that even if you're going paddling, towing, that was for all of those. So
Oh
it was
yeah,
kinda-
you're farther up north.
yeah. So it's 35 to 50 degrees ambient air temperature, and then the water temp's another 5 to 10 degrees colder. So
Oh my God.
I think
Yeah, I
it.
thought was really cool too, though, is that like you're going out to Todos by yourself, and like, I feel like a lot of people try to get into it for like, let's say like an Instagram Instagram pic, or like put it in your Facebook, and like you just don't give a shit. You're just doing it because it's what you want to do.
Yeah,
As
like
opposed to-
for sure,
I
dude.
thought that part was
Thanks, man.
stuck out. I thought it was like literally by himself, drops the anchor, paddles out, drives home. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, that is a whole. Everyone is
Thanks,
in
dude.
this type of stuff for Instagram
reason.
culture or like
Yeah.
content culture,
Yeah.
just like showing off, and you had no intention of showing off whatsoever.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I think that's like kind of what's so fun, and what I just like to live, and I get super bummed and tripped out about the content culture, like the whole Instagram thing and all the stuff. It's just like, it's just so not real to me. And like, I just want to live. Like there's like so many humans that lived before us, and they lived an incredible, raw, real life, and they got to see it from just a different perspective. And I want to just try and keep that going. For me,
man.
that's what brings me a little bit closer to just being that old school and living it up.
Dude, it 100% inspires me to get off Instagram or just, it's not even just Instagram, just the idea of comparing yourself to other people.
Totally, yeah, and it's not even about being on. I'm never criticizing or looking at anybody in any way. I think it's just being content with yourself and trying to trying to hold that and be true to being like, wow, this is sick. I'm stoked on like where I'm at, what I'm doing right now.
Tell you what you're doing is
Yeah, you don't need
you
that.
think it's cool. That's what makes
Totally,
you happy.
that should mean the most out of everything. And I think that's just what I'm trying to get, is to be stoked on what I'm doing.
Hell yeah, man. What so I know the house is the next project coming up, but anything else, like any trips? Or we didn't even talk about traveling much.
Yeah, dang. I'm actually got so blazed the other night. It was incredible. There was $550 tickets to Chopu, Tahiti. So I
oh my god, yeah. We joke about this shit like we're the Chopu riders.
That's literally the nickname around there.
Yeah, we're just like,
I love
I was
it.
telling you about. We're just going back and forth. Chopo!
Yeah, dude, I love it.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty fired up. That's gonna be
$500?
Yeah, it was insane. So I
What?
I mean, I think from United. Yeah, from United.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe we should Chopu out.
So I'm going to Chopes, which is pretty hectic. Definitely.
But like, when is that?
I'm going in March. I'm going February.
Okay.
Late February to March.
Right. So I mean, unfortunately, the thing is, you won't know if there's a swell.
I won't. It's not,
so far out that
Yeah.
actually, well, I mean, like, yeah.
We're looking good already. There was one like that popped up in the South Pacific. So Chopu is getting a swell in about 10 days, which is incredible for my eyes. Just kind of gets the energy moving in that South Pacific area, and hopefully the storms just really keep coming after that.
This is like California right now. We've just been like
Totally, you know, we're
2 weeks
getting
almost.
hammered.
Dude, it's been
yeah.
amazing these past
right.
2 weeks.
Totally,
Like,
so it's
You
just
just
been
landed
boom,
here.
boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. Yeah,
got so lucky.
yeah, left and right. So hopefully we just get one, you know. I'm
Yeah.
looking- and if not,
And
it's
if
just
not, you get to enjoy
the
Chopu.
beauty of the
Tahiti.
incredible situation,
Right.
and try and endeavor the culture and just see what we can get into with some
Oh, that's
families and
amazing.
stuff.
Because that's the wild thing about chasing waves like that, is that you, like the real like the professionals that like do this for a living,
Yep.
they'll buy these tickets like
One
48,
day, yeah.
20,
Yeah.
24 hours before the storm or
Totally.
before the storm hits.
100%. Yeah, it's a critical situation, and that's why, especially big wave surfing, if you're doing like that, is so gnarly. Is because you're just like, the anticipation, the stress, the getting ready, the like hype, the whole thing is like this huge buildup, and then you're just like running
As soon
for
as
it.
you
And
get in the water, I feel like you're just
exactly, it is. It's like, wow, and that's maybe why like I'll take a hit real quick. It's because like you know there's so much going on, and then you're like, well, I made it here. Like let's slow down.
Get
the
back to
adrenals.
reality,
Let's get
yeah.
back to
Yeah.
this. Let's live in the
That's a good
moment.
call.
Let's like pull it back and
Mm.
slow down, and like look around and get some perspective. See the beauty of the island. See the beauty of the ocean. Whoa,
Yeah.
there's a whale out the back jumping. Oh man, how's the boys are pulling up? This is incredible. You know, like just epic. So yeah, I think
That's an interesting perspective that I never really thought about. Like, I'm very used to traveling at like very fast. Like I am used to that, but for surfers and it's like for particularly big wave surfers that are chasing a wave, it's a completely different type of travel, because like all of a sudden you're jumping into a situation that you know is dangerous. So it's like they're getting into something that is like, even though they've prepared for it, it's like, oh my
Dude,
god, it's
still
on.
war. It's still
It's
almost
on.
a battle. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still almost like a battle. And it's like, is my tank and my other stuff gonna show up to the battle, or am I gonna be left with just my armor, no tank? So then I have
Yeah.
to borrow someone else's tank when I get there. Like, you know, the surfboards don't show up, this and that happens. Anything happens when you're doing it. Airlines run over all your baggage and your boards come broken in half, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's Yeah, it is crazy. It's
Yeah, the amount of variables that go into a trip is endless.
endless. And especially like you're saying, the variables that go into the surf once you get to the trip is just, you could be looking at 50-foot seas and it dissipate to nothing. And you could be looking at 50-foot seas that go to 70-foot seas. And you
Yeah.
could just be like, oh my gosh, the wind and the rain factor is incredible to, yeah. So really, really unique sport, really keeps you on your toes. I think personally it's the hardest sport in the world and the most dynamic as far as what's going on in it.
Definitely. 'Cause we were watching, I don't know if it was like a short doc or something about some guy surfing Jaws the other day. And it was just like he was explaining this whole whirlwind of a process, like jumping from one island to the next. And then all of a sudden, like it's crazy. But then once he gets into the water and paddles out, like everything just slows down and becomes just natural again.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is how it is for a lot of these big wave surfers. These guys are like, maybe like you said, not supposed to have this quick travel or have this like awkward blip on their radar, but they do have it, and then they get kind of wigged out a little bit, but that water, as soon as they touch it, man, these people turn into the like, there's cold as rain, you know, there's cool as rain. They're just chilling. They're just boom, no problem. Here we are, 60-foot waves coming at my face. Okay, turn around and send it. You're like, oh shit. I'm still like, oh shit.com for sure. I've been out well over my head and sat on the shoulder plenty of big wave sessions because I've been out when it's 50 to 60-foot faces and just heaving.
Ask, what is your gnarly, like what's probably the biggest wave you've been out in?
Yeah, I've been out to Mavericks, to one of those monumental swells in 2018. It was about January 20th or something, and there's quite a bit of documentation on it. And this thing was just mental at deadly. And the day before, it was really the deadly day. It was like, there's some 50-foot faces for sure, you know. I mean, it's huge, it's gigantic. 40-foot just going top to bottom. I mean, a 40-foot barrel. Yeah, 40-foot slab. And you're just like, when you've never seen that before, that's just unrealistic. Doesn't make sense. It looks like steel bending. Looks like just like metal, like bending on the earth. And you're like, oh my God. And it's so thick. And I was like really put into place. I was like, wow, I don't know about that. Like, I'll do some other stuff, but this is like, wow. Like, and then the next day it's like 70-foot face on some, and people were trying to surf it, but I couldn't make it even out the beach. It was that big.
This was Jaws, you said?
This was Mavericks.
Mavs, you said. Mavs.
Yeah, in 2018.
70-foot face.
Yeah, it was like 50 to 70-foot face, like for sure. Like it was breaking the third reef. And I have pictures on my camera that are just, third reef barrels for hundreds of yards. Like just the most mind-bending shit you've ever seen in your life.
So this was January 20th or 18th or something?
Yeah,
2018?
Yeah. And I mean, that was,
I want to look this up when I get home.
Just insane. Yeah, look at the Power Lines production video on it.
Power Lines production.
Next level is the video.
Damn.
Yeah.
And what about your breath work? Like, so what was when you started to get into that, what were you looking at for learning and strategies and?
Yeah, so I was super like slow to really like pushing it. I think I didn't, in the first like year or two, I really just like kept it around local, kept it Humboldt, and kept it like in Oregon, and kept like surfing like pretty nuts waves, but not like Mavs type waves where you're really like, you're going to be put in a consequence. If you don't have your breath together, you could be like, you know, looking at a deadly situation for real. And so it took me a minute to really put it into play. And then a couple friends from Mavs that I made were like, dude, I do all this breath courses. I do these safety, like water training courses, and a couple other just like safety preventative situations. And shoot, I was like, let's try it. Like, whatever. Like, he's like, yeah, you can hold your breath for 3 minutes. Like, no problem. And I'm like, I don't really think so. I don't think I could do that. And then first time I held my breath for 3 minutes and 20 seconds, and bam, I was like,
first time?
Yeah, like first breath training course. And
you kidding
me and
me?
you right now, if we did it like right now, I could get you to hold your breath for 3 minutes. No problem. 1 beer, 2 beers, no problem. I guarantee it right now. Like,
Whoa.
yeah, and it's great. I could smoke a huge bong hit right now and
You
then
say
do
it's
it.
just all mental then?
Pretty much like 90% mental, you know, like we're gonna utilize like a technique that's like helping out, like the Wim Hof technique, where
Yeah.
like you're definitely gonna like get a lot of, you're gonna super oxygenate your blood and super oxygenate your body, before we're gonna do these breath holds. But it is still like help, you know, showing yourself that the mental is there and that your body is capable, and then therefore applying it into whatever
So do you
situation.
do the breathing technique before you paddle out into the water? Like
I like to do like the night before.
is
That's
it like
real
It's
nice.
almost like your hyperventilate. It's like you go
Yeah, it's like a
all the
type
way
of,
out, but you don't go all the way in.
yeah. So I don't think you'd go all the way out or in per se. You'd
It's
just kind of
just a
like
little
more,
bit.
yeah, like you'd hyperventilate pretty much in a sense, or breathe in and out with your diaphragm, and then you would, and when you do you'd pretty much breathe in and out at 30 times, in and out, and you'd feel pretty crazy. You'd feel high on oxygen, and then you'd breathe out, you let out your oxygen, and then you'd do a breath hold at that point. So you pretty much are stagnant. You don't have air like in your lungs. You're more like
So it's
breathed
more
out.
actually in your blood.
Yeah, so that's what's really
Wow.
crazy. So you do this
Oh.
breath hold with nothing in your lungs per se. Not nothing to the
Wow.
point where you're like you're like pressing
Yeah.
out, but at like a stagnant rate. And then you do that 3 times in a row, and on the third time, yeah, you pretty much have an incredible sensation via the face and some tingling possibly in the hands and whatnot. Just because you've had so much oxygen in put into the bloodstream, and yeah, you can relax and calm down. And with everybody that I've helped do the course with, from my wife to friends, they've all been able to do over 3 minutes the first time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, pretty incredible.
Yeah.
What's the
Desiree,
name of this technique that you said?
it's like Wim Hof.
Wim Hof.
Yeah, and that's a man who's created this, and he's an incredible man who can
Yeah, he's
pretty much hike
about
Mount
opposite.
Everest in board shorts and flip flops
no
and
shoes.
and to yeah and to swim underneath the Antarctic waters for 30 minutes without wetsuit.
Oh my god.
He's incredible. He's gnarly, and he could do the breath holds for like 6 minutes or
Have
something.
you heard they did the testing where it was like 10 people volunteered, got tested. He was saying that his breathing technique can, defeat
Oh yeah.
certain disease.
Yeah, the whole thing, they inject them with
Yeah,
incredible amounts of
yeah.
gnarly diseases, sicknesses, all
Real
sorts of,
serious,
yeah, like,
yeah.
no, this is like a real serious, like, doctor. Like, I mean, he's hooked up to hundreds of machines from, yeah, like, I don't know what they count or are regulating, but yeah, he overcomes sicknesses
What?
to,
Yeah,
he's a
it's-
very
he's
incredible guy. And that
incredible
was,
human being.
that was cool. That's like, those guys inspire me. So those, like, I like doing his technique is real cool. If you do that before a big wave session, and
You're
you
gonna be
get
better off.
yeah, like you'll get absolutely hammered, and you'll be underneath the water being like, oh wow, that's what Forrest was talking about. And you won't be like, oh my god, oh my god, I'm gonna die. You're like, oh wow, that's what Forrest is talking about. That's pretty good. This is legit shit.
Mm,
I got an oxygen tank down here.
I'm chilling.
Yeah, chilling. You come up, you're like, wow,
3 minutes.
here we go. Go back down.
Yeah, because another wave
No
coming.
problem. Yeah. But it's like way more relative. I haven't done it. Like I said, I haven't been on my breathwork. I haven't done it once before any of these Toto sessions, which is surprising for me. I
Mm.
feel
Even
even,
over the falls.
yeah, I feel like
Oh.
probably even more stoked doing it. I just have been out of it, working a lot on the farm, just a lot, just trying to keep up everything out here.
Yeah, man.
But
Yeah. Have you ever had any scary hold downs, like where, because like breath work is one thing, but then there's also like even hitting the bottom potentially.
totally. Yeah, I've had a really gnarly one. I wasn't even thinking of that until you said it. I've had a really gnarly one hitting my board. A couple hitting my board for sure, but I've had a really bad one where in Kauai, I hit my board in a barrel, and my board knocked me out, broke my face, shattered my nose in half, and deviated my septum.
Jesus.
And I knocked out for a good 2 seconds and woke up pretty much on dry reef and was like, well, this is fucking really bad. And I happened to be about a half mile out a break and a really sharky channel. And I was bleeding profusely. So that was really fun because I was like, knew the whole situation just because I knew what I was up against. And I was just like, oh no. I was like really like, I was a little bit frantic because of the situation. Hundreds of feet deep channel with known sharks and this and that. And I had quite the paddle. And I felt confident. I felt strong that I wasn't going to faint or anything like that. But the possibilities are endless just because I was bleeding a lot.
Yeah. So you made it out of there on your own?
Yeah, so that was all again on solo. Pulled it off, ran across the reef.
Yeah, so tell people don't even know like what dry reef means.
So yeah, like there's a wave breaking, and I'm technically like out on a reef patch that had come up and is elevated outside of the ocean. So therefore there's like a bunch of sea urchins, sketchy sharp points and whatnot all on these rocks, and I'm trying to I actually threw my board on the ground. I'd run on it for 5 feet. I'd jump on the rocks. I'd throw my board on the ground.
Wow.
And then I did that because I was pretty just
like, fuck this board.
At that point, nothing
I'm
matters.
saving my life.
Yeah, at that point, like life was like, we got to get going. Like I was pretty life or death. Really, I did turn into like more militant on it and got pretty real. I was like, yeah, you got to pull this off. This is pretty deadly. So get real. And we pulled it off, swam in. I ended up seeing a friend on the beach and he was just like nearly ran away from me. And that's when I knew it was bad.
Because he was terrified of what he saw.
Yeah, he was like, why is your face, you have a beard and it's just red everywhere. What happened? Like, it was just red everywhere. I guess my beard to nose to beard. And
oh my god.
Yeah, so it was a good one. It snapped my nose real hard. I felt my board just completely close the air gap in between, and that was it. Lights were out for a second.
Dude, that's a terrifying one.
That was 26. That was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago.
Dude, the board is like totally unavoidable. Like, when you slam, like if you like jump off if the board wants to hit you, like by chance, you can't avoid it. It just happens sometimes.
Yeah. I got really lucky. I felt super blessed on one of those incredible waves at Todos. I just had one of those free fall airdrop moments, made the wave, pulled it off, went straight, but then got like taken out by the whitewash. I somehow flew so far that I landed. My face touched the tail of the board.
What?
Underwater. And that was like, oh, fuck. And I brushed it off, but it was like, oh man. And that was real intimidating. So when things like that, I actually hit up my buddy because the day before he was like, hey, you want one of these Gath helmets maybe? I might be getting some. And I was like, yep. Hey, what's up with one of those? I'm out here solo all the time.
Yeah, maybe it's time to sign up.
Yeah, being safe is being smart. That's just making you let yourself do it more.
But even the helmets won't protect like your nose necessarily.
Totally, 100%.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, no, it's a very just real gnarly situation.
Kind of just have to live with it. It's like you're making the choice. Like this is something I might have to deal with.
Totally, 100%. I'd agree.
Do you ever wear them out in Totos or a big wave? I guess.
I haven't taken the safety precautions that I will sooner. I haven't really. I've been a lot no vest, a lot no nothing.
Yeah, I think that just comes with the culture, though.
Yeah. Totally.
It's just a part of it. Like it's about being free. It's about like having less restrictions.
It was like somewhat rebel culture. So but you got to be safe and smart with time.
100%.
For sure.
100%. Connor, you got any more questions as we start to wrap up?
Not at the moment. No, I mean, it's kind of just been like
What's your guys' next mission for surfing, or what's the next
Well,
push that you
Connor
guys
is
got?
training for a big wave right now. That's why like we met you in a sense.
Yeah, it was epic.
Is
That's what I
through
was starting to get into.
Yeah.
You know, that day when we were at Toto's,
Yeah.
just paddling in, and you know,
Yeah, just trying to get prepared for the whole
just feeling
situation.
it.
Yeah,
just, you know,
exactly.
but it's honestly like what you were saying earlier. You just went into it when you were 18. You know, just diving in, 15 years old, just towing into massive waves. Like for me, you know, I just feel like, you know, if I am gonna do this, I don't know if I have the talent that you have to surf these waves, right? But if I am going to see if I do, I want to be prepared for the worst.
100%.
So
Yeah.
if I do make that fall, I inside I feel like I have it to do it.
Yeah,
with
you
the
definitely
training
got
and
the
my
talent.
mindset. I
Yeah.
feel like I can do it.
Yeah.
But it's the consequence is what the wipeout is really what I'm worried about.
100%. And that's something for me that's been critical, like for my whole stage of big wave surfing. I've always been an hour away from getting back on a roof, an hour away from getting back
Yeah.
on a nail gun, an hour away from getting back on the tractor or digging a hole.
Hmm.
And that's one thing that's not hindered me, but kept me smart. You know, it's kept me safer and smarter.
Yeah.
I've always been. A lot of the times I'm driving to Mavs literally after a 10-hour day. I'm driving there at 2 a.m. because I slept at my house for 4 hours, and then I sleep in the parking lot for 2 hours in the morning and go. And then I maybe have 2 days off, drive home, back to a 50-hour bender of work. And so I got to stay safe. I got to stay smart. That last session, I felt super stoked in the sense that I got to be more free. I got to let my ability
Dude, I gotta
do
say,
a little
you
bit
were
more
having the most
talking.
fun of anybody that day.
Thanks,
You were
man.
piling up to me and just like almost like it was as if it was like a, you know,
That
a
was
4 to 6 foot day for anybody else. You were just paddling, just like, yeah, dude, like scooch in over here. Like, you know, we're gonna sit inside for a second. And I was just like, I guess so. And then that big set came, and I was just like, oh my god, I gotta go. Like,
Meanwhile,
this is
guys,
so heavy.
I'm fully yelling, Connor, we're good. You're good. You're good. Forrest, first time of the day. Oh, he's over the falls later. He's not coming
dude,
back.
Just gone. I was like, oh my god, this is so real, dude.
But-
this is absolutely. I was like, he just got sent back. I was like, he's the one who's fearless out of everybody.
That
out
was
here.
awesome.
Yeah, that was my my highlight. I went in after that. I was just like, I went over the shoulder of one.
That was
I watched
epic.
Forrest get cleaned. I was
That
like,
was
I'm
sick.
good for Toto's.
That
My
was
experience
badass.
at Toto's is good.
That was badass.
That
Super
was so
epic.
funny.
Super
just
epic.
feeling the whitewater go. It's just like, damn, this is so real.
Oh yeah,
So the energy is so real here.
totally. It is definitely.
Meanwhile,
wild.
I'm just like chilling in the boat.
Oh, dude.
Just like trying to like
Just frothing, staying alive. It's
yeah,
epic.
it was my
dude.
first time
I was-
even witnessing
I
that
think
stuff.
that was cool. I was like, wait, you guys just told me your friend from Shanghai is out
Yeah.
here? Like, this
Yeah.
is, I was like, this guy's the man. That's what I said. I felt bad. Remember, I was like, dude, I didn't know how to
you
say
came up to me
hi. I was like,
afterwards.
I didn't know how to say hi to him or something. Like, I tried to wave to him, but like, I didn't know your names. I was like, hey, like, hi. But like, I didn't really, I was just like,
Yeah, you were just
Hey.
saying goodbye. I was
Yeah.
hyped. I was hyped that you
But-
were saying because I was watching you the whole session. I was like, I don't
oh,
even
no,
know
I
what
was
this
stoked.
is.
I was
this
like,
is
dude, you guys
crazy.
friend from Shanghai? Like, that's bad.
I remember
ass.
you
I was like,
you were
that's
saying this,
sick.
like, I didn't
man.
know like say this. I was like, dude, you're good.
Yeah, you're.
I was like, if you got to know Alex, you
Yeah.
know you good.
Yeah,
So
it
that
was epic
yeah,
to see you
yeah.
out there, man.
Thanks,
it was
man. That was sick. Yeah.
unreal.
Thanks
Super
for came
stoked
out.
you.
I'm glad they
Yeah,
came
you
out
came
good,
out.
you know.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
Alex
you
was
were
some
on
good
it.
ones.
Alex, you're on sick shots,
But
dude.
the air
Definitely
drops
have
were
to.
just mental.
Dude.
Yeah, thanks, you guys. Epic. That was fun.
It was a good day.
Unreal.
Yeah, man.
Unreal.
Hell yeah. I think that's a good place to end it. I think we'll have plenty more podcasts to come in the future. Can come back maybe 6 months or a
For
year.
sure. Let's
Catch
definitely
up,
do it. For
See
sure.
how the hemp work is doing on the inside of the house.
That would be super cool to take a good look at it. Come get a demonstration yourself. Come be a part of maybe one of these workshops and get your hands in on it. Get your hands touching it.
I know
Check
you're
it
not on
out.
social media or anything, but maybe it's like you don't have a website or you don't have any way that like people could follow like what you're doing or.
We're gonna have to put it together. I've been producing a couple of these little GoPro videos, so I gotta put them up. We'll have Desiree make an Instagram here and get it out to
Sweet.
you.
Well, if you make a YouTube channel or something, I think YouTube would be perfect for documenting
Totally.
the build, especially with a GoPro. Just like throw it up on YouTube.
Totally.
Do a little vlog, just personal, even. Just
exactly.
like record what's going on. That'd be sick.
Yeah, it'll just be cool. Keep some documentation, some time lapses of this epic craziness unfold.
Sweet, man. All right, Forrest, thank you so much for being on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alex and Connor. That was epic. You guys are awesome. Thanks for coming all the way out here to my place and checking it out.
Boom. That's it. Thank you so much for listening. If you found this podcast valuable, there are many ways you can support it. You can rate and review it on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen. You can share it with your friends, you can blog about it, or discuss it on your own podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe to this channel and like the video. Or you can support it directly. You can do this by going to my website. I'll leave a link in the description. Thank you for supporting the show. Listeners like you make it possible. Also, if you enjoyed the intro and outro music, it was made by my brother, Danny Greenberg. You can go and check out his beats on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, or SoundCloud. He goes by the name Estoric, Estoric. All right, that's it for now.